You are live.
We're live. Okay, so let's start.
Great.
Okay, let me
All
share my
right, well,
screen.
glad we got this all figured out. Welcome to the work session of the Southampton Village Planning Board. Kathy's got the agenda here now in a place where we can all see it. So could I have a motion to open the work session?
So moved.
I guess I'll call the vote as all in.
I don't think you need to do that for this.
Okay,
Hey, Roy, the minutes will show it was unanimous.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay.
All against? The ayes have it. Okay,
Aye.
so first on the agenda is extensions. BLC Hillside Investments, extension request. It does not show a reason. What's up, Kath?
Yeah, I didn't receive the letter. Usually
Oh,
those letters.
I think I did.
I did too.
Yeah, Diane Greger sent it this afternoon.
Okay, what was the request? Why did they need it? They
I-
probably can't do it over
I
the
believe they're still trying to get through health department approval. Let me, I'm sorry, I can't look at other things on my computer now.
Okay.
I can do it. I can pull it up.
Oh, thank you, Tony. Maybe I can too.
So I did pull the decision. There was, the resolution was, this was from December of 2019. And there were a few conditions that they had to put in order before this approval was, I guess, not conditional anymore.
Okay, the applicant's attorney submitted a letter stating that they are still trying to obtain health department approval and that they have submitted a final map to the health department, but it's not yet been signed.
And they're asking for 90 days.
When did we
They're asking for
originally
90
approve
days.
this?
Thank you, Tony.
So
When did we originally approve this, Kathy?
December 2nd, 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you see any issues with it? No?
No.
No, I think that's more than fair.
Okay. 99 Sanford Place is not an extension. It's the subdivision.
Yep.
So I did want to talk to you all about this one because this one, we received a modified site plan for this subdivision plan that they had gone over, I guess, with the fire marshal for that access road. And they need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And before they can get any kind of a complete application with the Zoning Board of Appeals, they will need a secret determination. So there were a number of other things that we had asked for, getting the update from the health department and getting input from the neighbors on this. But I don't see any harm with going forward with the secret determination. This is, we reviewed the EAF and we would recommend an egg deck. So that is something that could be done next week, that you could, say that you are a lead agency under SECRA and adopt an egg deck. So that way they can move forward with the zoning board. They would still need to go back and, come back to the planning board and say that they met all the other requirements, that they've gotten in touch with the neighbors are on board with this, that they've gotten health department input on the transfer development rights that they need for the subdivision. So I was wondering how you all felt about that.
I didn't hear if you said that they got the letter from the fire marshal.
So what I'm hearing from Liz Vale, and she sent me an email earlier, is that Bob Smith worked out the details with the fire marshal, even though I haven't heard back from the fire marshal. So I'd need to confirm that before there was a public hearing on this on the planning board's end.
But are they before any other board or is it just us?
It's the zoning board as well, so
But
just for reference.
we are the lead agency because we usually communicate with the other boards through you, Kathy. Has that been done?
It's actually, we're the lead agency because the action is the subdivision.
Okay.
And it needs zoning board relief to allow the subdivision to occur. So it
Okay.
makes sense for the planning board to be the lead
Oh, no,
agency.
I know it always
on this.
makes sense, but somebody raised the issue in the last 2 years as to how the boards of the village, Roy used to talk about this to everybody when he was in charge of everything, but how do the boards coordinate on various levels? And it was raised particularly under SECR, under this environmental approval. How do the boards coordinate as to who the lead agency is? And I could care less, just so somebody is, but it was made an issue of review as to sort of somewhere between lack of coordination and fudging it so that they get a friendly board.
No, that's, I mean, if the coordination letters are sent out to the
Yep.
various involved agencies and
Yep,
they don't respond within 30 days,
yep.
then the planning board can go ahead. This one was way more than 30 days ago.
Okay,
And
so
it's really only the zoning board and the health department in this case.
okay, so it's been done. The letters
Yes.
at least went out. That's all I need to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, the
Thank
letters
you.
went out.
Then we follow the law.
In this case, this is actually an unlisted action that does not require coordinated review. We actually thought it made sense to do coordinated review, so that way the zoning
Okay.
board would have the benefit of the environmental. So they didn't have to worry about it.
Good.
So if I have that ready for you on Monday for consideration, and we can consider adoption.
The
Sounds
secret,
good. All right.
the secret.
For the secret. So that's the only thing that is anything that the planning board could act on at this point, because it's not ready for a public hearing at this point.
I don't have any problem with that. Does everybody okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that sounds good, Kathy.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll have that ready for you. I'll get that around.
Right.
All right.
Kat?
All right. Can you still hear me?
Antoinette has now joined us. Yay. North Main Street LLC, 54 North Main Street. That's the new one you sent out today, Kathy? No.
Yes.
Yes?
North Main Street, 54. Yeah.
Do first an aerial photograph. So you can
Yep.
see these are two non-conforming uses at this point, surrounded by residential.
I'm still seeing the agenda.
I have to stop sharing and then reshare. Okay. Yes, forgot about that. Thank you. All right, screen 2. Okay, so this is the aerial photograph of the property. Oh, I went too far. North Main Street, office use, and there's some kind of business use in the back. And you can see it's surrounded by residential.
Okay, I need to be there by 6.
So
On the air to do a Teams 6.
this is the survey for the property,
You can also do that.
and the applicant has submitted 2 alternatives for dividing this property. One is to divide them, just divide it by a line here. Oops. And then have the access to the back lot by an easement.
No.
And the second is to create a flag lot, which in my memo, you'll see, I prefer this just because I think it's less confusing for property owners in the future. You have less confusion.
You listen to my speech.
I did. This page shows that because this property is located in the R7.5 district, that they can actually get 3 lots in the back with the road, with another lot in front here. But that's not what they're proposing.
No.
But why are they proposing this subdivision?
The intent of the subdivision is to, I guess, sell off the back and build a house back here.
Oh,
The,
okay.
The office would remain as is. So going back to the alternative that I prefer, oops, this one that has the flag lot. This would require relief because as soon as you create this lot, you're putting a lot line right on the corner of this building. So that, you know, isn't ideal from, obviously it needs setbacks, but it's definitely preferred over an access easement.
Yep.
And
Am I reading this correctly, that when you, after you do the subdivision, lot 1 remains at 40,000 square feet and lot 2 is 32,740 square feet?
yeah, lot 1 is 40, and yep, exactly. Lot 2 is the front one.
So they're
32,000.
conforming as far as size goes.
Yes.
There's other issues, but as far as size goes, and the point being that if they wanted to, they could make 2 lots out of that 40,000 lot. 40,000 one.
3.
Actually 3 back here. They would need health department, transfer development rights. And it's, you know, we would have to look at this more carefully to see if they actually could get 4 lots out of it, but
Yeah.
it does pass the red face test, I have to say. I looked at it quickly and said, you know, you wouldn't build, this is a road right of way. This isn't actually the road, but, you know, it's not ideal, and it's obviously not a fait accompli, but under the zoning and the size of the lots, they could get more lots than just 1 lot, which is what they're
By
proposing.
granting this application, does it in any way affect the rights to then further subdivide? I think that makes it impossible for them to further subdivide it, if I remember correctly. That's right, you're shaking your head up and down.
It could be written that way,
Yeah.
that would be a condition of the subdivision. But, you know, they could always come back and try again, but they could always come back and apply again. But the idea here is to create 1 lot that would be improved with a house.
And are the current uses non-conforming?
Yes,
Pre-existing, so this would bring the back lot into residential conformance, right? See?
correct.
It's an improvement over there being a vacant shop building back here.
Go back to the aerial photograph. Did that go back to the aerial?
Yes.
Okay, good.
What'd be nice is to take down the building and do 2 houses, but that's their problem.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's
Well-
obviously market driven and so forth.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
no,
can't
no,
make
no.
them do that, but
Property owners follow the market, and I'm all for it, but it would sure be nice to get rid of that random sticking building there. That was done, and I remember when it went in.
The way things are going in the village, maybe it would be better for them to have 2 residential lots.
That's my, I'm
I
just
don't know if
saying.
that's rented or not.
No, Kathy said that the owner will follow the market, and I think that may be possible.
That'd be great.
so, I mean, as soon as you create a lot, you know, anytime you could.
What's that sort of stuff to the right of the parking lot? Is that like a junk place, or what's all that kind of?
Or it looks that way. I haven't been out there.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I know Kyle Collins is on the call, but I don't know if we can't allow him to speak, I guess, the way this is set up today, right?
Right.
Well, Antoinette is on now.
Yes, I apologize, you guys. I can switch him over to speak, but he doesn't have his hand up.
But I don't know that we normally allow anyone to speak, right? So,
It's mostly if the board has questions and they can answer them, which is actually good for 7 Powell, because I actually have a question about that one. But,
okay.
so for this one, I'm actually recommending that, you know, for a sketch plan for a subdivision, the board has everything they need to give the applicant the direction for the next steps, which is, this is a minor subdivision, and which do you prefer? Do you prefer the alternative that has the flag lot or the easement? And then we give them, then we have a public hearing on it. There needs to be a public hearing. So I think at this point, if the board agrees, then on Tuesday, you can set the public hearing for October. And we'll, in the meantime, do the secret review for this.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell. If
Yeah,
everybody
that sounds
agrees.
like a good path.
That sounds good. Alan?
Yeah, Kathy knows my views on flag lots versus there's only 1 or 2 easements in the entire village. So I think the flag lot we have to go to unless there's some unbelievable reason not to do it.
All right.
I think you're,
We have a message from Liz Vale.
Okay. Liz,
Hearing
let
for
Liz-
September 8th. Well, no, we don't have time for that. We wouldn't have enough time to set the hearing for September 8th.
No. On September 8th, the board will vote to schedule a public hearing for October 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just responding to Liz's message.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, there goes my hair tie. Oh, well.
She says understood. Okay, so we're good.
Okay. Good. All right, so we're good for the next?
did you
Yeah,
need,
thanks, Kathy.
did you need to do something with one we've already done as far as having a question for the applicant? No, that's
No.
coming up. That's coming up.
That's coming
Okay.
up.
So
Yep,
7
yep.
Powell Avenue LLC.
Yep, so I'm going to bring that up. So here is the aerial of 7 Powell next to the train station. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, now I'm getting it right. And they've included some nice photographs
Yep.
so we can really get a feel for this.
Cool.
There's the back of the building.
Yep. And they re-shingled it in the last 2 weeks.
Such a cool building. Okay, and then the last thing is that they had included, oops, not that button, this button. It's not working for me right now. There we go. Okay. So the site plan here shows a new entryway with steps and ADA accessibility, a new planter, exterior doors that will be removed and replaced by a new picture window,
Yeah.
canopy, and a new driveway aisle. So they say that this is a historic access drive, and that's actually what my question was about, is that, you know, how is this property accessed? When I looked at this, I was like, how do they get back in there? You know, when we look at the aerial, there's no access on the property really to get to the back here. So I'm thinking it's through here, but I don't know if it's a legal access or it's been defined, and I think that would be important for the record. So if we could allow the architect or the owner to speak a little bit about that, but otherwise I think that this is fairly clear what they're proposing.
I have a Will Gold here with his hand up, so whenever you're ready, I can.
That's him, yep.
Will, are you,
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I'm the architect, and I can also, at some point in time, if we want, let Stuart Andrews, who's the property owner, speak. I will start by saying that this historic shared access drive, that is in fact MTA property. That is how this property has been accessed since it was built in 1909. This used to be a potato and grain processing facility. The train tracks, you can see here on the site plan is marked the historic railroad spur. The railroad tracks actually used to extend from the Long Island Railroad and branch onto this property, and farmers would weigh their wagons on this the wooden scale that's out in front of the building. It still exists, it still works. Our plan by putting the ADA access on this site is to preserve that historic aspect. In addition to that preservation, there's a lot of preservation that the homeowner has expressed maintaining. And this is the only way that they can access the property is by driving on an access drive that is on MTA property. That is the only way to get onto their property. To the right is Riverhead Building Supply. To the left is more MTA property.
Is there a legal easement across the MTA property?
MTA is not willing to grant a legal easement. It would be, as you could imagine, quite the process to run up the chain of command at MTA to get a legal written easement, but no, there is not. This is something that over time we've consulted with attorneys. This is historic shared access. This is how they've accessed the property, how McLaughlin Electric accessed the property. It's how everyone has accessed it since the beginning since the existence of the building. Right?
Well, I'm not clear. You're not going to be able to get an easement, but you're still going to access the property over their property?
I think
I'm not
he's
sure.
saying they have a prescriptive right to use it.
That's the gist of it. The owner, and I don't know if he's raised his hand, or I'm not really sure how, like, two people raise their hand at the same time if he wants to chime in. But the idea is that we would, with the building permit application, submit a written covenant stating that if at any point in time there is an issue with our access of our property through that shared drive, that we would be tearing down, and so we would tear down the ADA access ramp as it exists. That means it would have to be relocated over the historic way scale. That's the only other place for it. And we would have to have an access drive, which would be 10 feet wide on the property. So if you could go to that site plan, you can see pretty clearly how if you were to put from the front where I have new entry steps labeled, that's where a 10-foot drive would have to start. It would go across the ADA access. We would have to take down that tree, the old growth tree, and then continue the access drive all the way to the back. That's the only other way to do that.
Okay. Okay, so this area has historically been used for parking though, right? That's the only place on the site that they can park it.
That's
So-
correct.
Okay, okay. Is this going to the ARB?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do you have a calendar? Do you have a schedule for that?
And we're not on the schedule yet. They asked that we come to you guys first before we go to them.
Okay.
They did?
They did, yeah.
When?
When we were at the building department, actually Chris recommended that.
Oh,
Okay, so if this does require a public hearing, I would put this on for October. I don't think there's a reason to delay it.
I think we
Anything
need more
else?
information about the historic access.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I don't think we can approve it the way it is with that little information. This is,
Could you maybe provide some clarification as to what would help there?
I mean, if you could demonstrate historic use of the site.
Maybe,
A legal opinion from an attorney.
So currently we've been consulting
Any
with,
title search. Something, we need something. I mean, I don't think we can proceed based on this testimony.
Where have the
I believe you,
previous
but-
tenants been accessing the building? The same way on that side? I thought they were
Excuse me?
accessing on the other
Sorry.
side of the building.
there's no way to get on the other side of the building without crossing over Riverhead Building Supply. Currently, the attorney that we've been consulting with is Charles Cuddy, and he's been helping us with that historic access definition and the implications of it, because there is precedent for it. On top of
Maybe
that,
you could provide that to the board.
Is this before us because the use of this building is going to be commercial?
it will be an office building and a warehouse space.
Office, thank you.
Okay, but it's been.
I should
an
also,
office
I should
building.
also,
It's been rented by the Spur was there, Ham Hogue was there. Where did those people get into the building up until now? Over by that tree?
Yeah, by the car, they all parked in the village, in the parking lot, the railroad parking lot,
Where was the door though?
on the northwest corner.
Over by the tree.
Yeah, I guess where the tree is.
there's that, and there's also an access, if you see where I've labeled new entry steps, Currently, there's an entry, there are steps that take you out of that front door. You can see the door swing in front of the historic wooden scale.
Yeah.
There's steps that take you out and dump you out right into the street. We don't want to do that anymore. So we want to turn the steps the other direction so that people,
I see. So the door was on the end of the building in front of the historic wooden scale.
Yep.
that's correct.
One of the pictures show that, Will?
Yes, one of the first pictures should show that. That's the door right there.
Here.
That's one of them, and you can see the second one right there to the left of that. That's another entrance.
Behind the dumpster.
And then if you scroll down to the next photo, that's the front entrance there. Those steps lead onto the street, which is, in my opinion, very dangerous. So that's why we want to switch that.
Okay.
And then that's the wooden scale that you see there. That still actually still works, believe it or not.
That's pretty cool. So, Alice, I mean, this would need to go for a public hearing for planning board. I mean, does it make sense? Yeah, okay. So we need to get some input on the legality of the access, okay.
Yeah,
Could I
I don't
ask
know that we
another-
could ask the public to weigh in if we don't know the status of the
Good point.
access.
Okay,
Excuse me, board, I have a Stuart Andrews with their hand up, just so you're aware.
That's the owner. I'll let him take over if you want to switch over to him.
Would you guys like me to do that?
Sure.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Find out what he's going to do there.
Stuart, I need you to unmute yourself, please. There you go.
Hello?
And can you get your video on? Is that possible?
Yes.
There we
yeah,
go.
we can hear you. We can
Okay,
see
great,
you.
great. Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, Stuart.
It is so good to meet you all and to participate in this meeting. And yes, I am the very proud owner of this amazing building. And as Will was saying, this building was originally a grain and potato processing facility. And it was originally built sometime before 1909. And I've been doing my research on the building with the Southampton Historical Society. And I've also reached out to a man named Ed Wisnowski, whose family has been farming potatoes for many generations here on Long Island, to better understand some of the mechanisms in this building and how this building was originally used. And this building has some very, very unique features. And as I've been doing my research, I'm realizing how unique these things are. One of the things that Will mentioned was the scale in front of the building. And this was a wagon scale because back then they would bring the potatoes in by horse and wagon, and they would weigh these wagons right in front of the building. And there is an antique scale just inside the building, which was manufactured in Vermont by a very famous company there. And I'm trying to actually determine the date of construction of the building. The earliest date that I have is 1909. And in that year, I have a record of 25 train cars of potatoes being shipped from this building. And as Will mentioned, there is a rail spur just on the north side of the building, which you can see in the plan. And I believe that this may be the only rail spur existing on a commercial building in Southampton Village, possibly Southampton Town. And on this north side of the building were 3 loading docks, which are all still existing. Some of these loading docks were converted into doorways, and one of the loading docks was shingled over. So inside the building are some very interesting architectural details, all of which we want to preserve. And this is what I've been working with Will on, is to preserve all the historic architectural and mechanical features of this building. And I invite all of you to come and visit the building. Inside is a 120-year-old elevator. There is also a grain elevator that would carry the grain from the basement to the 3rd floor, and then the grain would be deposited through chutes and bags. And this was the original use of this building, the processing of grain and potatoes. The wood structure was an addition that was added sometime after 1926. I have historic maps from an insurance company, which Mr. Wisnowski provided to me, that show the original construction, which is the brick part of the building, around 1909, and the wood part of the building being around 1925, 1926. In the wood part of the building are many trapdoors in the floor where the farmers would offload their potatoes, and the potatoes would somehow be bagged and stored in the basement and then loaded on this freight elevator and brought up to the main floor and then offloaded into train cars. And in cleaning up the building and sorting through all the items that were in it when I purchased it, we found the old ramps that were used to offload the potatoes into the train cars. I also found some old signs promoting various wagon companies, grain companies, fertilizer companies, and all of these items are still in the building and will all be incorporated into the decor. So in engaging with Will, this was one of my first priorities, that we preserve all the historic aspects of this building. I believe that this is the only scale of its type in Southampton Village, possibly Southampton Town, and possibly on Long Island. So this building has some very unique features. It also has a 0 setback on Powell Avenue, which is also very unique. And there are 3 pre-existing loading docks also on Powell Avenue. One was converted into a window. I believe that that was done by one of the previous tenants. One of the loading docks on Powell Avenue has been shingled over. You mentioned that you noticed the new shingles that I put on the building. When we took the old shingles off, we discovered a 3rd loading dock in this warehouse area. And then there's another loading dock that's still there untouched in the brick section of the building. So in the interior plan, what really started the whole process for the interior renovation was to bring the building up to ADA compliance. So Will has created a beautiful floor plan preserving the grain elevator and all of these historic things, and kind of been able to wrap my business. And my business, by the way, is Shinnecock Pools. I've been in business here in Southampton Village for over 30 years. My wife and I bought this building together. My wife's family is from Hampton Bays, and she owns the Good Ground Antique Center, which has been in her family for 4 generations. And her antique shop still has Good Ground on the facade of the building. Of course, it was not always an antique shop. It was her great-grandfather's market. It was originally the Good Ground Market. And that building, ironically, was also built around the same time as this building. And my wife actually just donated the family outhouse, of all things, to the Hampton Bays Historical Society, and they just relocated it behind the historic Canoe Place Chapel, which is on Canoe Place Road in Hampton Bays, which was also just completely renovated and is also where I got married. So back to this building, and what I think is the issue of what we call the historic access, where Will has drawn in the handicap ramp is really the best place for it because it allows us to preserve the wagon scale in front of the building. And that is one of our priorities, again, to preserve all the historic features of this building. And the handicap ramp,
Okay.
I'm sorry, do you have any questions at this point or may I continue?
Stuart, this is Alan McFarland, and everybody, please excuse me. I have got to withdraw and get my wife on a Fox broadcast. So I'm going to drop off now, but your history, thank you for telling us this history. This is important to
Oh,
understand.
well,
how
you're very
you'll-
welcome, Alan. And
how you'll accomplish it all. My apologies, everybody. I have run out of time. Thank you.
Okay, I'll continue. So for the interior plan, Will again has drawn in an ADA compliant bathroom, and he's drawn in the ADA compliant ramp. And where the ramp is would be where we would have to put a driveway parallel to what we call the historic access. However, the building for all time, which is about 120 years, has been accessed on this old cobblestone driveway, which actually only accesses the back of my building. There's no other destination for this driveway. It only goes to my building. And when Will mentioned that the MTA would not grant legal right-of-way, this is because this access way is within 30 feet of the train tracks. And for that reason, the MTA never grants any legal easement or anything that close to the train tracks. However, this is a common driveway, and it has been for all time. I closed on this building February 28th, and since then, the Long Island Railroads actually only used this access that I know of 3 times. And generally, they just, it appears they take their lunch breaks here, or, you know, something like that. So I understand the potential for the legal aspect of it, but, and I don't know at this point if I should defer to my architect or for additional legal advice, other than to say that this cobblestone roadway has always been how this building was accessed. The previous tenants, and I believe you mentioned Hamilton Hogue. Hamilton Hogue is occupying the upstairs area of this building, and he will continue to do so. The Spur, which was my tenant, they did park vehicles in the back, and all the previous tenants had used this area for parking. So this is what I'm proposing. And at this point, I would ask if you have any other questions or if there's any additional information that I can provide to you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
I think that there are similar situations in Bridgehampton in the light industrial area where the train tracks cross into commercial properties that were used for similar purposes historically. I was just wondering if you've looked into that situation at all and how it's handled legally. And
I have not. My focus since I purchased the building has really been on the points that I mentioned, such as determining the age of the building, the year of construction, and just understanding how the building was used. And I have not done any extensive research on other similar properties that are within this MTA sort of zero setback zone on the train tracks. But I'm very familiar with the area that you're talking about in Bridgehampton, and how they have a light industrial zone along the train tracks there. But I have not actually inquired on that point.
So other than the access, can you guys hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy, the audio on that didn't come through.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with it. You can hear me now or no?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so other than the access, which I think is more of a legal thing than anything, the other thing that would be helpful is to have like cross sections for the ADA access to make sure that they actually are compliant. So that is something that we'll submit to us for review. As far as details, but otherwise, those are the biggest site plan issues that we have are the parking and the ADA access.
Unfortunately, from
Did you guys hear that okay?
sounded like somebody from the Terminator. I didn't understand anything you said at all.
Yeah.
I think what Kathy said was that we need a cross-section of the ADA access and that the actual access is a legal issue.
Mhm.
Well, Alice, to me, I mean, fundamental issue here is it's clear that throughout many years going back, people have used that MTA property to gain access and to drive their cars onto, to park in the back of this building. Whether or not that's been legal or not, we don't know, but people have done it for a long time. But I'm not sure if we're allowed to codify that, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I would be hesitant to give an approval to something that showed an access that was not demonstrated to us to be legal. We
Right.
haven't, we've heard testimony, but we haven't received anything on this as far as I know. We need some documents.
I mean,
We
to
need
me,
to review
that's the
And
central
I need to review it.
issue, right? I mean,
For
it's clear that
consistency
this
with the
area
code.
has been used, but we have to find out, does it have any precedence? Is there any legal grant to it? What happens if we decide to allow it? Are we allowed to take somebody's property and say, sure, you're legally now allowed to go over that?
Sure, it sounds to me like they're saying they have a prescriptive right, but can you have a prescriptive right on an MTA property?
Mhm.
That's a question that needs to be answered as well.
Right.
And are there any code issues with it seems like there's just one way in and one way out of that building. I don't know if that's a concern that we would be involved with at all, but it just seems like there's only one way in one section and one way in the back, the
In terms
wooden
of
section.
fire safety and things like that, Tony? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll put it back up here so you can see. There's no way to get to this back area from the street other than over the historic wooden scale, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to go along and get through on the MTA property. Maybe it shows better in the pictures, but.
Well, that's clear. That's clear. It's just, and it's always been done. It's just that, are we as a board allowed to make that, forever going forward legal? I don't know. We'd have
So
to.
it's the applicant's burden and obligation to demonstrate that they have a right to use this access.
Mhm. That makes it really clear to me there. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great picture. That's
Okay, so I guess the applicant has the guidance of what needs to be submitted. And Alice, you were correct that I was asking for cross sections. Sorry about my microphone issues.
Well, you sound better now.
Thank you. You can understand me now.
So, Stuart, this is Roy Stevenson. I'm the chairman. Great presentation. Thank you very much for actually all that you've done in terms of your valuation and your caretaking of this historic structure. But as you can see, it puts us in a position where we have to be careful about what we're doing in terms of the legality of it. And Alice and certainly I have no clue at the moment about those questions, and we have to dig into it a little bit deeper.
I understand. So let me follow up with Charles Cuddy. And can you give me any feedback on what type of documentation you would like to establish the historic use? Would that be something from the previous owner, previous tenants, or What kind of documentation should I be trying to obtain for you?
There's no real way for us to tell you because we don't know what's there.
Mhm.
So I'm sure your attorney will be able to guide you in that.
Yeah, okay, I'll follow up with them.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So will we have follow-up meetings after today?
Sure, I think you should submit the ADA cross-section that Kathy asked for and any information that your attorney can provide with regard to the legality of the access.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Alice.
I
My
don't
pleasure.
think you can submit a site plan for approval that requires access over another person's property without some legal justification for that. So
Well,
you've got to
Tony,
get that legal justification.
One, this I understand. I would like to point out that this is an entity that we're dealing with, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, not necessarily an individual. But I will follow up with Charles Cuddy and get you as much information as I can.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, Kathy, moving on to the next thing. Is there a next thing?
There is a next thing. It is Snow White Laundry.
It's a blast from the past.
Yeah, so, so when this was approved back, and I can't even remember, let's see, back in 2015, it looks like. They had parking up until about this line. Can you see my screen now?
Mhm.
Okay, so, and I guess that they are underparked. They need more parking. And the only planning issue related to this is that they want to add some more parking stalls and move the dumpster back a little bit further. The only issue is that, I'll zoom in so you can see. The area that they're proposing is within this transitional buffer that's required because it goes from a highway business zone to a residential zone. And when you have these kind of transitions, you need a transitional buffer, which is planted and so forth. The only thing is that this is owned by town of Southampton. It's a vacant piece of property and it will never be developed with a residence. So this applicant went to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They received approval. I don't have a signed copy of that approval, but I have reason to believe that they received approval for the relief needed to construct this additional parking. So other than that, as that's the only planning issue is related to zoning, this seems sort of, a good idea. If they need the parking, they're underparked, they need it.
Kathy, are they underparked by code?
No, they're underparked by use. They found that they needed the additional parking.
How many
Yeah,
more
don't we
spots
all?
are we getting? It looks like about 5.
Six.
It's 6 according to this, but I think they actually have this parking space now. So
Is that
I
true
actually-
already there, or are they proposing to build that, to put that in?
they're getting an additional, it looks like they're getting an additional 6 spaces. The way they wrote it on the, go back to, so they're saying additional 13 spaces, which I can't see how they're getting 13 spaces in that. So I wanted to ask the applicant that one question. It says that there are existing 16 spaces, proposed additional spaces 13, and they'll have 30. And I just don't see where they are. So it may be that they didn't build the entire parking previously, but I haven't been out there. I haven't been able to come out, so. But the proposal is to build this additional area, so.
Is that line of arbor vitae already there? Is that proposed addition?
That's proposed.
I mean, the main issue is the buffer, and if the town says they don't care on the other side, it's then it's probably a fairly moot issue, isn't it?
Yes. Alice, do you think that this requires a public hearing?
I don't.
Yeah. So.
I mean, there is no public. It's just the
There really,
town.
yeah. So, so this could be, I don't know if it could be ready for decision on Tuesday or if it's a matter of, having some time to discuss it and have a decision at the following meeting.
Well, maybe Alan left. Are Jane Claire and Pam still here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I
We
don't
also-
see you
We
for some
are,
reason.
we are here. We're muted.
Okay.
Yeah, Collins, also Alice here. I don't know if that's in regards to this case, but I do have a Kyle Collins.
Okay.
Kyle was here for 54 North Main. I don't know if he's here for this too.
Kathy, I think maybe it makes sense for us to discuss this one more time on Tuesday, and then we could have a decision unless, some of the board members change their mind about the public hearing. But I don't really see any legal need for it.
Is
Does
there
it set any sort of legal precedent?
In what way?
That,
In crossing over that buffer?
if
Well, they would,
the zoning board,
they're going to get in what that would be an easement? That's not an easement. They're going to get some sort of accommodation by the town to allowing them to do that, right? Alice?
I believe so, Kathy.
no, actually, the transitional buffer, once it's waived by the zoning board, the transitional buffer is meant as a protection to people that live on that property. So they made the decision that this is not needed because nobody's living there and it's never going to be built on or a house.
Okay.
So,
But has the
Great.
zoning board, would the zoning board formally approve that?
so actually, so the other document that I have is the decision from the zoning board of appeals for that. And let me just scroll down to the bottom. It actually says July 23rd, 2020, it was voted on, but I don't have the official signed copy.
Okay.
So-
So if we nail that down and they've approved it, then yeah, we
Yeah.
got that covered.
And they had a public hearing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty minor.
And I really think we got it covered. There's no issue, Kathy, with drainage and getting more impervious surface and getting close to the boundary line of how much impervious surface there is?
I believe he had to actually drain, it's a good question. I'll look at that for Tuesday.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. Okay,
What else we got?
let me bring it back up. Okay, so I guess on Tuesday, there's the minute approvals from the last meeting.
Do we need to do the Sabonic Realty?
That's this one.
Oh.
50
Snow
County
White.
Route. Yeah.
The minutes are not ready just yet, but I will have them over to you before the next meeting.
Okay, great. So the next meeting is not Monday, but Tuesday, September 8th at 5:30. Again, will be a Zoom meeting. If anybody in the public wants to see it, get a hold of the building department and you'll get instructions on how to join that meeting. Following that, the next work session would be September 28th. Anybody got anything else to add? All right, can I have a motion to close the work session?
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays?
Okay.
Motion carries. Work session is closed. Thanks, everybody.